Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Happy Monday. I'm super excited to be designing a responsive landing page with you guys today. It's going to be spooky because Halloween is coming up, and I'm a big Halloween fan. So I'm like, why not start it already in September? Let's let's have the celebrations begin. It's actually my birthday tomorrow as well. So I was thinking, maybe we'll do a little something special. Maybe I'll wear a costume tomorrow. Who knows? Stick with me then. So before I get started, let me show you guys the schedule. So first is a 7:30 a.m., obviously with me, 9 a.m. Photoshop, Daily Creative Challenge with Voodoo Val, 9:30 Character Design with Anthony Jones, 11:30 Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge with Andrew Hockradell. Sorry if I butchered that. 12 p.m. Character Design with Sarah Hewling. 2 p.m. XD Creative Challenge with Peter Del Tondo, and 2:30 Design in the Dark with Jordan Ayout and Andrew Harkadell. So that is the schedule for the day. So let's get into it. So yes, we are designing a responsive landing page. If you guys are just joining, let me know. Do you guys like Halloween? And if so, do you have a favorite costume that you've ever worn? Let's get into the spirit already. My favorite costume, I think, was when I was like 7. My mom made me a Dream of Genie costume, and I was so ecstatic. I probably wore it like every single day for a few months. um, so I'm Elizé, Todd. I am an XD. I am an Adobe XD instructor. So I teach enterprise partners of Adobe how to use XD. I also create content on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And of course, I do UX design as well. I still design. So what we are covering today. Today we're going to talk about sketching. I'm going to show you some sketches I've done. And we're going to do the desktop UI. And then tomorrow we're going to focus on tablet and mobile design. So I wanted to talk a little bit about responsive design. This is a workshop for people who are beginners, right? So this is potentially your first time doing any sort of responsive design. So what does that mean exactly? Well, I liked this quote I found from interactiondesign.org, which is a single flexible design that would stretch or shrink to fit the screen. So you'd have one flexible design that you can then translate from a larger device to a smaller device, right? So let's look at a couple examples of what that looks like. I have here the Credit Karma website. So if you see here, I'm going to just expand this a little bit more. You can see that this is the full width here. And then there's these different elements on the screen like this, right? And then when I start to shrink the size, and this could be maybe for a tablet, you're seeing that the content is responding to the resizing. And you even saw, if you notice, look at the navigation up here, you see all these navigation items. When I get down to a certain size, it looks like right here, it turns into a hamburger menu. Right? So you're going to start to notice some things will start to stack like it did now. So this is where it's getting close to mobile sizing. You see it goes from these 2 columns into 1 column when we get to mobile. You see that? right? So it's still the same design, and this is where I see common mistakes for new designers is they create potentially completely new design for desktop and mobile, um, and instead we want to think about making that a really fluid design from one size to screen size to the other screen size. So that's Credit Karma. Here's another quick example from Walmart, how that's shrinking and kind of going down into size, do, 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 right? Until it completely starts to stack. All right, let's get into then talking about the spooky Halloween. Let me know if that feels good to you, if you're feeling good about responsive and seeing those examples there. Um, credit scores too spooky for me. Oh yeah, my friend works at Credit Karma, and they're actually a really wonderful, wonderful company. It seems like. So I always give props to them when I can. So let's talk about the style for today. Obviously, we're going spooky, and this is a design that I found, and I'm going to actually show you the site. This is from Dimitri Kiashko. Uh, I really liked this design. I was like, this is super cool. I love the illustrations, and the illustrations are actually from this other woman, Lydia Jean Art. Just wanted to give her some props too. Look at all of her beautiful, super cute, spooky illustrations. And I thought that I would just take this design and make it a actual website and just take those UI elements and play off of that in our own responsive site. Okay, so a lot of beautiful illustrations that we're going to be able to play with. Finding the right type of artwork is always super hard but it's super impactful in your design. So I'm really glad I found her art. Now, of course, this is all her art. It's not mine, and this is only going to be used to teach you guys today. I'm not going to be posting it on anything. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I start to sketch. Now, this is where I'm starting to really think about responsive design right from the very beginning, right when I start sketching out my designs. And so there is a lot of controversy around mobile first or people doing desktop first. Typically, people don't do tablet first, at least not yet, and which way it should go. And the term mobile first was coined in Google in a period of time where people were not designing for both desktop. That wasn't like a normal occurrence at the time, like desktop as well as mobile all at the same time, like really thinking about all the different devices. And of course, like at this time, there wasn't like a smartwatch, there weren't tablets and all this kind of stuff. So there's actually so many devices to be thinking about. So they wanted to make sure that you think about mobile. So that's why mobile first design was created. And so when I am designing in on Sketch or sketching it out, I think about both desktop and tablet, both desktop and mobile at the same time as I'm sketching. So I know this is going to be controversial to some, but I typically start with desktop, trying to understand, okay, this is probably going to be full width here, an image. This is going to be scrollable here. This will also be scrollable here. Here's how the nav items are going to shrink down into a hamburger menu. Here are some of the cards, and they're going to stack over on the mobile. And I typically don't draw out tablet. I will do tablet when I get into my wireframing process. So that's how I start to already begin to think about multiple devices at the same time. Now, typically when I design, I will design for 3 devices: desktop, tablet, as well as mobile. So 3 different screen sizes. All right. Anybody see? Oh, I see Laura says, hi, Elizé and everyone. I just wanted to check in on the chat and see how you guys are doing, how you're doing this morning. It's good to see you guys. Yes, perfect. So Hello, everybody. Welcome. If you're just joining, we're doing a spooky landing page responsive redesign. And I'm just showing my sketches, and we're going in from sketching into actually high fidelity today. What? I know, crazy. I am skipping the wireframing stage, which, if you don't know what wireframing is, it's basically mocking up the designs in grayscale, just showing the architecture, not putting actual any images or colors, just basic structure of the site. And I'm skipping that today because I wanted to focus more on showing just my process for responsive, high fidelity design, and just start getting into colors today. But typically in my process, I do usually wireframe everything. And if you haven't seen my videos before, I've done now 4 Adobe Lives, and I've done wireframes for each stage. So if you want to take a look at that, feel free to, if you want to learn a little bit more about wireframing. Otherwise, let's get into the artboard. So again, this is for beginners. So I'm going to be speaking to you guys as if this might be your first few times that you've ever opened XD. So the first thing I'm going to do is get an artboard. All right, that's where I'm going to paste all of my design elements. So this is called your paste board. It's just this huge amount of space, but we want to contain our design into one space that's going to fit a particular device size. So I am going to go into the artboard selection, which is over on the left-hand side in the toolbar. The second one down here is artboard. If I hover over it, it'll say artboard. There's also the shortcut A to get into this. Now, once I click that over here in my contextual menu, or in my property inspector here, you're going to be able to see a bunch of sizes. So they already have in here a few desktop sizes and tablet sizes and mobile devices, and you might be overwhelmed initially with, well, which one do I begin with? Right? And this is where you can look at your, if you are already working for a company, you're going to say, okay, what are the devices or the device sizes that our audience is typically using? And you can start there. You can also just say, okay, what is most commonly used in this period of time right now? But because this is responsive, it's going to be very fluid. It should be very fluid from a 1900 pixels to 1700 pixels and so forth, right? So just go ahead and pick a desktop size. I'm going to do 1366 here, this desktop size here, and I just placed that artboard here. Now I am going to put it here next to my sketch because I like to sketch next to where I design. Okay, so here is our inspo board, and here is the actual design that I'm going to be creating. Now, the next thing that I am going to do is I like to start from the top to the bottom and usually from left to right. So I'm going to begin with the logo. Now, because I'm just taking this as my base for my UI, I'm just going to take what their logo is, which is Creepy Bookshelf. Now, this is maybe something you may want to do when maybe you like Amazon and you want to redesign something for Amazon, or maybe you want to co-design with someone. It's great to kind of be like, okay, I'm going to take someone else's UI and start to apply it to my own thing. And especially if you're not so great with visual design yet, this is a great practice. Now, you'd always want to make sure that you give that person credit if you want to post anything. If you want to ask them, hey, is it okay if I use your illustrations and post it, stuff like that, feel free to please give credit where credit is due. Okay, so here I'm going to just do Creepy Bookshelf. What a cute name. I had taken this idea and decided that it's going to be like a monthly subscription. So that's where I'm going with it. Monthly subscription for all you can read spooky books. All right, so I am going to use a typeface that I think is fairly similar to this one-ish, maybe. Who knows? I didn't know exactly what they used. but I'm going to just first do creepy bookshop. And so there's my typeface. So if you've never used did any text yet, if you've never done that in Adobe, just go ahead and use the shortcut T, or go into your toolbar, and it's the third one down, which is text, to create text. Now my logo is just going to be this text, and I'm going to change this font. I'm going to try a couple options. I feel like Futura could work for this fine. And I believe it was all caps. Let's look. All caps. If anyone has other ideas of fonts that they think I should use, also let me know. Oh no, my little chat window went away. Let me get that up so I can continue chatting with you guys. Where did it go? All right, so while I wait for that to load. Oh, Tim is saying, is there a tool that you can find similar fonts based on an image? I didn't know this. What is this font? Maybe we can use it, or what is this tool? Maybe we can use it right now. I've only been able to use font that's similar to a web page. So I use what font as a tool in Chrome, but I've never used it in for an image. Cool. All right, so I want to grab this orange. So I'm going to just take this creepy and use this eyedropper tool here in this corner to take this color into my logo. Okay, the eyedropper tool is so amazing to do this kind of stuff with. It's super, you could just grab it and don't need to worry about any codes, hex codes or anything like that. And I noticed that it's a little bit bold or something. Okay, Tim says type match font in Photoshop. Oh, in Photoshop. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Adobe Capture on your phone. Oh. Okay, cool. We'll do that later then. Omar says Sophia Pro. Let's try it. I love Sophia Pro. I use it. I'm using it on my website redesign right now. Okay, cool. Sophia Pro. I like it. Thank you for that suggestion, Omar. So here we have the logo, and now we are going to just create some navigation items. As of now, I'm not going to create the titles. I'm just going to say nav item 1. If anyone has suggestions for what I should have for pages in this website as we go along, feel free to give me some suggestions. I'm going to change these back to, I'm going to just change them to black for now, and we'll change them out later because I'm going to put a big background image in here. And so I'm going to have to adjust this accordingly to the background. Okay. Martha says Adobe Fonts lets you drop in an image to match. How do I not know this? There's like so many options. Can you guys do it then? You guys can do it for me perhaps. I can give you guys, drop the link. I'm gonna drop the link into this dribble. Into the chat. There we go. There it is. If you guys want to do that. So then I am going to bring in an image here into the background, and she's using, or he's using this kind of bird image here, and it's very dark, so you can see the text and the font on top of it, right? So we also want to make sure that there's a certain amount of contrast from our background as well from the fonts that we're using in the text on top, right? So I am going to first just draw a big rectangle, And to get to rectangle, I'm just selecting R or as a shortcut, or you can go over here into your tool and the second option in your toolbar is rectangle. Cool. So once I have that, I actually have the images already set up here. Let's see, I think it's this one. I'm just gonna drag it in. Yay, so cute. Now I want to adjust this image a little bit, and I am going to use Photoshop. I am not a Photoshop expert at all. I know how to do basics in Photoshop. So what I'm going to do, and it's such a simple integration to use Photoshop within XD, and all you need to do is right click and click and select edit in Photoshop. Okay, so if you have Photoshop, go ahead and you can open that up in order to use Photoshop. Now, I'm going to also give you guys a second option if you do not have Photoshop in order to try to darken the image. Okay, it's not going to be as great, but it's just still an option. So I'm going to go into Photoshop and go into Image, and I'm going to go to Adjustments, and I'm going to do Hue and Saturation. Okay, so I'm going to take the saturation all the way down, and I'm going to actually darken it a little bit too, this lightness. Boom. Super simple. And then I'm going to save this. And now once I save this in Photoshop, if I go into XD, the image is now saved. Okay, so now I have all those adjustments I've made into the photo now here. Now, I'm going to go into my layers panel. So that is the second, or I guess the middle option down here at the bottom. That's my layers panel. And I'm going to take this screenshot layer and I'm going to drag it all the way down so it's at the very back. So now I can see all these other layers are now on top of this bottom layer here. But now you see my little nav items. You cannot see them. So I'm going to just select all of these navigation items and turn them white. Now, did you guys have a different suggestion? Tim says it's probably Proxima Nova Light. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. And then the serif font is Abril Fat Face. Is that right, or do I just not have my glasses on? I never heard of that font. That's really cool. Fat Face. Okay. So I'm making that white. So now we already have our navigation. Yay! And our background. Now I said I was going to show you an option if you do not have Photoshop, if you want to darken your image. So how you're going to do that is just go ahead and take a rectangle. So R for rectangle, and just create a rectangle on top of your image. From there, you can get rid of the border, and then you can take a dark color and then just change the appearance, right? So you're just gonna kind of fudge it like that. That's an option. That's just like for very beginner, you wanna just get something to where you can see more of the text. Go ahead and do that. Now I'm gonna actually leave this little rectangle also because I wanted it even a little darker. Alrighty. Now I'm just going to grab these and I'm going to group them. And this is now my whole navigation. Cool. We're there. Now let's get into the text here. So here's my heading. This is my H1 here, and it says, I did T for text, my shortcut, spooky and mystery stories. Cool. So, somebody, okay, let's see where the fat face font is. Abril, yeah, they're Adobe fonts. Cool. Do I already have it? I don't think so. I do not have Avril. Okay, so let me go into Oh, I might have to wait. So I am actually just going on to my Adobe. Oh, yeah, it's a little finicky right now. I'm going to just use Playfair for now, and then I'm going to change these out for tomorrow. Okay, so here we go. I think this should be quite larger. Spooky and mysterious stories. Cool. So here I have my H1, and now I want to add it as a text style. How do I do that, and why do I do that? So if I go back into my this menu bar here, and the top option here is my assets panel, I'm going to, once with this character style selected, I'm going to click this little plus sign, and now it has this as a character style. So now if there's anything, another text I wanted to use, what if it was this one, and I select this character style, well, it's going to turn it into this same text style. It's going to remember all those characteristics of that text style and apply it to any text I want. So it's just a real great way of staying consistent in your designs, right? So I have this as my H1, and I'm going to label this my H1. That just means my heading 1. So I can double click, and then I'm just going to label it H1. Cool. Now I want to have some body font here where it says like monthly subscriptions for reading and writing. So just a little text here. Now the great thing about this too is I'm going to change out the fonts because Tim found the fonts that are being actually used in this image, which is amazing. And so later on, when I download it, I can edit it and I can change this to any font I want. So that's what makes it also really great. So I don't have to do them each individually. I can just change all my character styles up here. Now this, we were using that Sophia Pro, yeah. So here I have my Sophia Pro. Now this font is obviously very big and too bold for a secondary font. Now, anybody know why you wouldn't want to have this be bold as well here? Anybody know why I'm changing that to regular from as far as the weight goes for this font, from bold to regular? I'm just going to change this font to like an 18. All right. Anybody know? Hierarchy. Yes, Tim, thank you. You know all the things, so. Yeah, we want to understand hierarchy. So this is the main, this is what I want people to really pay attention to and read on the page. So it's very large, it's very bold. And then secondary information, I want their eyes to go from here to these the second headline here, right? So monthly subscriptions for reading and writing, or for reading and listening to Halloween books. So reading and okay. Now it almost seems kind of still hard to read this text on top of this background. So I am going to make this background even a bit darker there. Now I can really read this text here. And now we have our first button as well. So I am going to take this font and I'm going to add it, or take this text, and then this is going to be my H3. for now. So to create a button, we need to just create a shape. So R for rectangle again. I'm just making a little rectangle and dragging that out. And then from there, I want to remove the border and I want to have my call to action color be this orange color, right? Now, anybody know why orange would be a good color for my call to action color? So while you guys are thinking about that, I am going to take this fill color, use the little eyedropper to bring in this orange. Now this orange is a color I want to use over and over again in my design, and therefore I want to add it to my color assets over here on the top left-hand corner. So I'm going to click this little add, and now I have this little orange. So what that means is if I want to change my orange color, I change my mind, I don't like this type of orange, maybe I'm going to go crazy red. Now you're going to see that that's changed here. It's also changed here, right? So anytime this color is being used, I can now adjust it in here in my assets panel. And then from there, T for text, which is try free trial. Trial now. And this one, I'm gonna do a medium. Okay. So Christy says, very Halloween-y. C. Wigman says, it takes attention and promotes action. Justin says, draws attention as well as goes with the color story. Yeah, both of those are such great answers. It draws your attention. So some buttons you want for it to have a lot of to have the user really pay attention to that particular color because it's such in contrast with the other colors here, right? It's so noticeable. This is where I really want the user to do. I really want them to try out a free trial. Now there will be other buttons I use that are not going to need as much or not be as potent in color, and those will be secondary buttons, right? So this is more of my main call to action. Now this button, it's completely square. I think I want to try out a version with it having rounded corners. So in order to do that, I'm just going to select the rectangle, and inside there's these little circles inside, and I can drag them in and I can make it look more rounded. And more rounded buttons are actually look more friendly. So we can have a different vibe and a different feel with the shape of our buttons. What do you guys think? Do you prefer round or do you prefer square? What is the feeling you think we want to give? I'll leave that there. Round or square, please give your vote in. This is a group collaboration. Okay, so from here, I now have the section popular books, and it's going to look very similar to this, where it's going to have these little cards, and there's going to be a shadow, and there's going to be a title and the author. Okay, so I want to make this page a little bit longer here. And when I select this artboard, you're going to see that this is my viewport height, this little line, dot, 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 dot. That's what it's saying. That's my viewport height. So typically, this is kind of where this, all this information, all this content is above the fold is what we call this. So above the fold means before you start scrolling on a screen, that's above the fold. And typically, it's a good practice to start having content already underneath your hero above the fold. So it makes people want to look at it and continue scrolling. Now it's kind of interesting. There are people that don't know that you can still scroll on landing pages and stuff if the whole hero image takes up this whole screen here and you can't see any content kind of peeking through. So that's what we're doing now. So we're creating some content to peek through to engage the user. Okay, so Justin, people are all saying round, pill shape, rounded. The creepy orange is brighter. Doo, doo, doo. Yeah, okay. Yes. So I agree with you. Because this design is very round and we're kind of going with this direction, I also agree that I think we should do round. Perfect. So I am going to now make my second heading type. So I just drag this first text over, and I'm just going to use this little eyedropper and take like a black that's not completely full black. So this is 1E, 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 and otherwise complete black is 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And typically you don't want to use sometimes such stark colors, such stark black. It can kind of feel more ominous, a little bit too intense sometimes with that contrast. That having a nice softer black is a little bit more pleasant for the eye. So I'm going to use one of these softer blacks, and I'm going to take that black, and of course I'm going to add it to my color. So now this is the black that I'm going to be using. And this is my H2, right? Because this is my H1, this is the largest heading, and this is going to be way too big if I use this heading here, right? It's starting to compete for attention if I'm looking at this like, whoa. So we need to make this smaller. All right, fairly smaller. And what was this going to be titled? Popular books. I'm going to make this a lot smaller. I also am like not sure if this should stay the Playfair sort of color, or it should be, yeah, serif or sans serif. I'm not sure right now because it feels like it's still a little overwhelming. We'll see. Okay. Now let's do the cards. So R for rectangle, again, just a simple shape. Boom. And I am going to now put in the rounded corners. Let me take a look at this guy. It's pretty round. And then from there, I am going to drag an image in and see how it looks and feels. So I'm going to take this cute little pumpkin and throw it in there. Yay! Maybe I should start with this one. I don't know, they're all so good. Okay, I'm gonna start with mermaid one because mermaids are my favorite. So I'm gonna get rid of the border. Every time you make a shape, there's always a gray border. You can go ahead and get rid of that. And let's start to make this sort of, it's a very strong shadow, but it's so light in its opacity, but it's quite expansive around the whole card, it looks like. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to apply a shadow. Over here on the bottom, underneath fill and border on my property inspector is shadow. So I do not want to have it be particularly on the x-axis more going right, or on the y-axis more going down below. I want it just to all be centered and glowing the whole card. So I'm just going to keep these at 0, and I'm going to change the blur to like something crazy, like a 30 or a 40 maybe. Now to really see what's going on here, I'm going to go into the color and make it really black. Like, okay, now I can really see the shadow here, what I'm working with. And I am going to change, and I am going to adjust it now to just a light opacity, a really, really soft black, but that's still noticeable and still making it pop. Let's see how that looks compared. Is it even softer? Yeah, I think it's even softer. Maybe it's like a lighter gray. Yeah, shadows are kind of an art form in of itself. And there's a few ways to do that, but I think that this is kind of one of the easiest ways. All right. How did you get to the eyedropper tool, Christy asks? Yes, good question. So if I'm selecting a shape And so I selected this particular shape, and I'm going to go into my color option here, which says fill, right? So this is my color. Anytime you select any type of color, there's going to be a little eyedropper next to the 100%, next to the appearance or the opacity. You take that little eyedropper and then you can change it to whatever you like. Okay, so now I just changed that button from orange to black. Good question. All right, so now from here, I'm going to grab text, T for text, to make the title of the name. Now, maybe if you guys have any suggestions for names, for titles of books, of kids' horror books, like maybe looking at this cover photo, like what is it? What would be the name of this? Like mermaid, I don't know, mermaid. I'm so bad with this. Mermaid Scare. Any of you that are better with copy, and please help a sister out. Okay. Okay. So there is my title, and I am going to create a, oh, I didn't add this one yet. So this is my H2. I need to add that character style. That's my H2. And this is going to now be my H4. All right. Yes, any suggestions for any of these book titles as I bring in these images would be super fantastic. We have Mermaid Scare, and we're going to put in the author name. And so I'm looking over here, and I can see that it is all uppercase for the title of the or for the author's name. By author name. Okay. Now this seems to be like a very light gray. It was also, I'm going to use the Sophia Pro for it, and it seemed fairly thin. Now, why people might want to use something really thin here is, again, hierarchy, right? So this is more bold because it's the title, you want it to be more noticeable, and then the author name is not as important, unfortunately, for that author. It's not as important, so we want to make that a little bit not as noticeable. So this was all uppercase. So you can change text, making them all uppercase or lowercase. If you want to just grab the text on the right hand side in your text, on your property inspector, it'll have those options here. So I can change out how my text is displayed. Okay, so now I'm just wanting to make this all lowercase, like so. Now theirs is even, okay, so theirs is even lighter. Even a lighter color. And there seems to be a lot of spacing between each letter here. So lots of character spacing. Okay, it looks good enough. So now let's move forward. And I think Tim said he was smelling the repeat grid that is that we're doing. So yes, we're going to be doing some repeat grid. Ooh, we have some names. Mermaids Attack, Candy Creepers. Yay, I love it. Thank you so much. Okay, Mermaids Attack. Let's do it. So I'm just going to grab these three elements here, the title, the author name, and the image. And I'm going to turn on repeat grid over here on the right hand corner, repeat grid right up top here. And I'm just going to drag it along so it just repeats the same card over and over again. Well, but the spacing is all off, right? So I want to adjust the spacing. And because we have such a big wide shadow, it thinks that there's just a lot that's going in here. So the spacing is extra wide in between. So I'm going to grab these little pink dividers in order to drag them and make them closer now together to one another here. And that's going to be the adjustment there. Maybe it could be a little wider. Okay, cool. So now I am just going to grab these screenshots that I had, and I'm just going to place them in here. Maybe I'm gonna bring in the mermaid back here though. There we go. Okay, so somebody had another name for a title, Candy Creepers. Candy Creepers. Thank you. Yeah, if you have any other names, I'm happy to add those. I'm going to just do Haunted House because, you know, that seems pretty appropriate. And if you have any other names for the pumpkin, the witches, and the ghosts, I'm happy to add those as new titles. Now, in my original sketch, I had a view all option here, like view all popular books here, like they had in this example, like see all. But instead, I want to have another button. I'm going to change my mind and have that be view all books from there. So how I'm going to do that, again, I'm going to take this little button and I am actually going to make this into a component. So like the character styles, these are something that I'm going to repeat over and over, and I can edit it here and it will take effect across all of my screens. Same thing with the colors. Same thing goes with components, because I'm going to reuse this button over and over and over again, perhaps, right? I want it to make it a component. So I just need to add this little plus button, and there it is. Call to action. So now if I have this main component and I make a copy of this component, well, this main component here, this was my original one, the first one I made, and this is a replica of this first one. Anytime I make adjustment to this main component, it's going to reflect on all the other replicas, okay? So that's why we create it. So I'm going to make another another button style. So I'm going to take this, but now I actually want to change the way it looks. I don't want it to be so bright and in your face like I wanted here, because this is a call to action, a strong action I want the user to take. This is more secondary, like check out all the books. So I'm going to change this to view all books. And I'm going to make the fill actually white. What? You can't even see it. And then the border is going to be orange. Take my little eyedropper and use this across the line. So there is my outside of my shape, and now I'm just going to change the font inside to be also this orange. Here we go. Now to adjust, so if I want this centered, I can just grab this layer, grab the background layer, and you can use these alignment options here at the upper top area in your property inspector to center it and adjust it so that it's exactly where you want. So if it's centered or on the right or the left, etc., you can use those options there. So here is my another button. And I want to center this on the screen. So I just selected this group and I'm centering it, and now it's centered to the screen. Okay. So we have this first section. Now we're going to move into the next popular genres. So I'm just going to grab this text. And I want this also centered. So I'm going over in the upper right-hand corner and centering it. Cool. Now, I was looking at this. This is a quick sketch I did this morning. And I was like, oh, it's too many squares upon squares. I'm going to try a different shape. I decided that when I went into mobile and I was designing, I was like, maybe it'll be better, a little bit better, less like a typical square and more like a rectangle here. So I'm going to create this rectangle with my rectangle tool. And then from there, I had grabbed in these little cute illustrations, almost looks like icons, but yeah, illustrations here from online. It was a free kit to use. So I'm just going to grab these and use them in my popular genres because I felt like it sort of matched the style. Obviously, it's all Halloween-y, so that makes sense. All right. Ooh, moonlit mansion. The pumpkins are coming. Lurking jack-o'-lanterns. I like this. Scary pumpkin patch. Should we center popular books header too? I believe that is centered. Yeah, I think I did that one. Yep, that's centered. Thank you, though. Okay, let's change our titles now. Moonlit Mansion. Thank you. Moonlit Mansion. Thank you. The pumpkins are coming. Oh, now this is 2 lines. So yeah, because some of them are 2 lines, if I drag this author all the way down, it's going to affect all of my items in the repeat grid. So you use a repeat grid because you want to repeat this same thing over and over again. And so anytime you make an adjustment to one of them, it's going to affect them all. So because this is now on 2 lines, all of the authors are now pushed down below. So we can just leave it like that for now, but we'll make adjustments in a little bit. But that's how repeat grid works, okay? So let's continue on here with the genres. So I grabbed these little icons and I'm gonna bring in Mr. Pumpkin and maybe make him a bit smaller. Bring him into the square and I'm just going to make a genre here. Oh gosh, here we go. I have to think about title. So this is my H3 or my H4? Yeah. I am going to, let's leave this as popular genres for now until I can think of any, or you can give me options for what to fill in for popular genre that has to do with a pumpkin. And then I'm going to make the card element. So this card was, when I'm just clicking into this card and I'm seeing that it has a 27 in its roundness into the corner radiuses, or they're 27. So I'm going to just do the same for this shape as well. So I go into this shape and I'm just going to change it to 27 as well so it matches. But it's kind of this ugly gray border and it's just white. So I want to change that a little bit here. So we can also make these have a shadow as well. And I'm going to adjust the shadow to something similar like I had before here. It was a 0, X and Y, and then I just changed the blur to 30, and I left the color similarly, but I remember we kind of made it really dim down, something like this. Okay. So let me see. Pumpkin spiced comedies. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. That is like my favorite. Pumpkin spiced comedies. Love it. Cool. So I am going to take these and I am going to build another repeat grid. And it's going to go to the right and it's also going to go down. Cool. But this is crazy spaced, right? I want to change the spacing here. So that it just all kind of feels clustered together. It's easier to glance and look at one title over to the next. That makes it a lot easier. Now, something that's kind of interesting about repeat grid is if I wanted to change out this image, it's going to, or this icon, what is this actually? Let's look at what this is. Okay. Yeah, if I wanted to change them out, I want to make this actually a component. So I'm going to show you it. I'm going to do it and then I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to make this a component. And I want to make all these components. So I can just switch them out easier. I also don't think I want to change up the colors a little bit, but okay. Let's just do the first thing. So if I want to change this now into ghost, actually let me redo this. First I need to make all these the same size. I didn't realize I had changed it. So this is a 132/88. That's the size of it. So I'm just going to take these guys and also make them the same 132/88. Okay. Now when I switch them out, it should be much easier. Doop. Okay. Now I'll bring in the mummies. Oh no. Typically, my brain might not be working so well right now because it's I got up at 5 a.m. and I barely had any sleep. So my brain is like short-circuiting right now. Like, why is this not working right now? Actually, maybe Tim, do you have a answer to this? Why this is not working for me right now? If not, I'm gonna have to just do a more janky version of it. But every time I'm changing it, even though I made it a component, I am just going to undo the group and change these each out. And so that'll just be my easy fix. So I just undid the repeat grid for now, and I'm just taking in each of these little components, and and you can just switch out components that simply. Just like that. So you can really do that with any component you want to. You can just drag them in and replace that component just like that. Okay. Let's move on. So we got pumpkin spice comedies as one of our titles. Maybe this could be like obviously ghost stories, ghost scares. And then we could have a couple other mummy memories. I don't know. Skull head. I think everything I'm saying is with scares and because I'm just again like I think that I'm a little still waking up a little bit. Okay. So we've got a lot going on here. It's so cute already. I feel like, oh yes, popular books, popular genres. Super, super cute. I'm loving this. This ghost though seems like I need to adjust this ghost. Okay, so this was my main component. If you remember, this is the one, my original one that I made the component. This is a replica of it. And I think that it's touching the edge too much right here in the corner. So I'm gonna edit the main component here, adjust that. And it's then should adjust to all the other ones here, right? So that's how it just did. So I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller, a little cuter. It's touching the edges too much. And it's adjusting here as well. So that's how you work with main components as well as the instances, right? Okay, we're at like near the end-ish of the page where we have pricing options. Now here I was thinking that I wanted to bring in something darker into the screen because we have such a light white background. So we have this dark background here. We have popular books on this white background, popular genres, and it feels like it just needs like another visual break so I can have also something that's going to maybe create a little more attention to it because it's pricing options. So I want that to be something more significant because this is where I'm going to ask people to sign up for their memberships. So I want this to be more significant. I want there to be a break in the colors. So now I'm going to take in another rectangle here, and I want to bring in an image again. So if you can recall, it's so easy to drag in an image into any shape. It does not have to be just a rectangle, it could be a circle, any shape you want, a star, and you could just simply drag in an image in order for it to just automatically mask into it. Yay, I got my little happy pumpkins. And I was thinking that maybe we'll see how it works for now. We'll see how this does. But initially, I want this to be the background, and I want to do it very similarly to how I did the heading. So I'm going to, again, edit this in Photoshop. So I'm going to go edit in Photoshop, and I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. I'm just going to get rid of the saturation, and I'm going to make it darker. Okay. So once I save it, I command save. Now it's going to be adjusted as well in here. Now, if you can recall, I had this little rectangle on top of the image to make the text stand out even more. So I'm going to do the same thing here because I'm going to bring in a lot of text. You want to make sure everything is still very, very legible when you're putting any text on top of an image. So I'm going to take this rectangle that's here, the same rectangle. I'm just going to copy and paste it. So just simple Command C, Command V to paste it back in. I'm just going to drag it now on top of this image. So it's really dark, so you can just kind of get a little bit of the remnants and the style of it, but it's really much more of a background. Okay, cool. Now let's have a title for this. This is going to be white. So I'm just changing the fill to white, and I'm going to label this pricing options. Now we talked about centering, so I'm going to take this text and center it in my properties inspector. I'm going to just leave that like that for now. Let me drag over my wireframe to see kind of how I've laid it out. So I have these three sort of rectangles here with some text. So I'm going to take the rectangle tool, and I wanted to go for something more spooky, more dark. So I don't want to have white for the box inside or the rectangle inside. I actually want to make it transparent. What? Yes, crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of the fill. I just unselected the fill here, and I'm changing the border to, let's try white for now. We can play around with orange later, but so this will be the border. And I want to change the radius. I think we were using 27. So just changing the rounded corners over here to 27 there. Cool. And then I'm going to put in T for text. So tier 1. Now for this, I really want to use the sans serif. I'm going to go back to Sophia Pro. And this is really not important information. This is the least important information here. The price is going to be something that the user wants to see, and a little bit of the information on what you get with the price. And of course, the call to action. So there's a lot of things that the user wants to see. And I think it's pretty much in the order of they want to notice the price, they want to see what it comes with, and they want to sign up. So tier 1 actually is really not super important. So I am actually just going to make that like a very light gray. We want to caps it and then just make it very light. Not so noticeable, just tier 1. And then we're going to have the price, which is going to be much more noticeable, $5 a month. I'm going to get rid of the caps. Again, you can adjust your caps and everything like that right here in your text. And I am going to make this bold, right? This is what we want people to notice. And then from here, I can just drag this to make this larger. And I'm going to change it to white so it's more noticeable. Cool, $5 a month. Then we're going to have some text in here. What should we? I'm going to say comes with 10 books per month or something like that. I do not want this capitalized. I do want this white so people can actually read it. And I'm going to just change the font so that it's medium. And there we go. And then finally, I'm going to have a call to action button. And I think I just want it similar to this one. So I'm just going to copy and bring it over. But this one, I want it to not have any fill color. So I'm going to get rid of the white inside and just leave it like this. So now I'm going to just change this to say sign up, and I want this centered. If you notice, when I want to center something, it just kind of already tells me there's these little pink and blue lines that are saying, okay, this is where the middle is, and you can just drop it in and it's centered. You don't have to necessarily use the adjustments at the very top. Okay. So from here, I'm going to make this shorter, and there it is. So I think that this works okay. Let's see if I have a character style I can use with this. Nope. Yeah, here we go. So I'm just going to use my H3 here for this text. And I think that it's still a little bit hard to read. So I am going to actually put in a fill behind it, but I'm just going to use a dark fill. So I'm going to go into my color black that I had in my assets panel, and I'm just going to change the appearance over here on the right hand side to something that is, you can still see through to the picture, but it's just a little bit darker. So again, you can see it a little bit more. I'm going to adjust this rectangle a little bit. And then the border, I'm going to make it a 2 so it's more noticeable. Now, do I like this? I'm not sure yet. It looks fine. Wondering if the call to action here should be brighter. So I'm going to try out now another version and get your feedback. Maybe this should be a stronger call to action like this. The only thing is, if something is stronger like this, or if I make this the orange, there's going to be 3 for each tier, and it could be overwhelming to see 3 call to action colors like this right next to each other. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm grabbing all of these and I'm turning on, of course, repeat grid on the upper right hand corner here, and I'm just dragging the little handle along, and let's see how that feels. Is that too much? Is it too, see it, like, if you know what I'm talking about here, yes, these are calls to action, but they're so strong that they're kind of competing and it hurts the eyes. So I'm going to just change this so we can see that there is a visual difference between these 3 tiers. And I'm going to change this back to the no fill. Do I like that? Yeah. Tell me what you guys think. Do you prefer a stronger or a secondary, like more relaxed kind of version like this? All right, so you guys already have some options. I think pricing options should be orange. Rachel says, I don't think it's too much. And Christy says the button looks better as the orange fill. Oh, okay. Okay. You guys like the orange fill. So I am going to reset this one to main. So anytime I make, so if you've seen, I've been making a lot of adjustments to these components, and you can make as many changes as you want to the instances or the replicas of the main component. But if I want to go revert back, I can just right click and say reset to main state. So now it already has that same strong call to action color like before. So you guys like that? Oh, so this actually, so if you notice, I just typed in right here and it's kind of over here on the left. It's not completely centered. I'm actually going to adjust the main component so that all of the buttons are always centered. And if I click into a component and I want to edit the main one, I just need to right click and click edit main component. Now it's taking me to my main one. So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to center it, center this copy here. So here it says center. So now that is center. So now it should work for these other ones here. So now this one is centered as well. So same thing, sign up. So now this is centered as well. And I can just change out the copy as I please. Okay, yay. Oh, but what happened to you? Okay, he's centered now. All right, so now we've got basically all the things that I had put inside the design except for the footer. So let's get into that. So you guys really, oh, you guys are still talking about the orange. Okay, what if the border is bolder orange? And then Justin says he thinks the secondary. Oh, we're gonna have a little battle about it. Is it bright orange? Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. For me, I think it's kind of a little bit much, but I'm okay with it right now. I'm okay with it right now. We can adjust tomorrow too. Sometimes I feel like just having a little overnight like sit through on your designs helps in the morning clarify things. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so let's get into the footer. I think that this footer, I was like thinking to maybe make it orange. Is that crazy? It's gonna be so crazy with these calls to actions colors. It's gonna be so bright and wild. But we don't really need a big footer. could be pretty small. And let's first think of what are all the things that are going to be inside our website. So this could be stories, this could be books, just making up some stuff for now because just some nav items so that we can place those into the footer as well. So I am going to make them medium. They seem a little bit too far apart now. They're so separate from one another. So I'm just gonna bring them into each other 40 pixels away. So it just feels like it's easier to read. You don't want to have your titles be so far apart from one another that it's not easy to just just glance over and be able to read very, very quickly. So that's when we kind of cluster them closer to each other, like that. Okay, so now let's take these 4 options. Oh, let's actually just take this whole heading and place them into the navigation. Now let's look at a couple footer examples of what people do with their footers. It depends on how large the site is, typically, to how intensive your footer needs to be. Oftentimes we can see social media in there. You'll see some sort of copyright information. So let's look at a couple. Whenever I'm like, oh yeah, what should I put in this design? I always just kind of go back to looking at a few examples of sites to give me some inspiration for what I think I should do. Let's go back to Credit Karma. What's in their footer? Oh my God, they have a crazy big footer. Wow, probably because they have to deal with so much legalities here. This is like such a long one here. Oh my goodness. So yeah, they have typically some social media icons, and then they'll have like all their pages that you can find here. And if they have an app, they'll put that along in there as well. Rachel says you could have the most popular be orange and the other 2 be secondary. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I also think, something I like that certain companies do, kind of like Rachel, what you're saying there is reminding me of it. I'm going to make this smaller. Is there will be sometimes like a popular option. So I'm like thinking maybe we could have, I know I totally switched gears from the footer, but thank you, Rachel. There could be like, oh, this is the popular one. And then maybe what we do is we make these. I'm thinking, okay, just stick with me here. I'm like thinking and doing right now. I'm gonna make this, playing around with this for just a little bit because we don't have that much time. And I'm like, Rachel, you gave me an idea. Thinking we could use this, maybe this like piece of the ghost here. So I'm just taking this ghost icon. I was like, okay, I want to show that this is the popular one, and how do I show it? And so I'm like, maybe the ghost is a little icon instead of like, sometimes I see flags or a star like popular, and then you can kind of put these all together. And then this is kind of like the strong indication of the popular tier. And then of course we would have to make these kind of not as apparent. stick with me. This is an option that we can play around with. I don't know. It does make it so that the orange navigation at the bottom isn't so bright and like intense with the call to action colors. Because now my eye does go into the middle for popular. Yeah, I don't know. That's an option, guys. Going back to I'm looking at your guys's chat. You need some legal speak about scaring kids. Oh, do I? That's hilarious. What do you guys think of the orange navigation? Is it too crazy? Should I just like go with something white or a different color? What do you suggest? This could be black. I'm gonna put in the little like social media while you guys let me know what you think about colors. So when I'm looking for logos, I just honestly just do a Google search, Instagram SVG, and I will look for those icons. Is this an SVG? The site looks a little sketchy though. I'm not sure. Oh, I'm scared. I actually wonder if there is these in the plugin for icons. I doubt it though. Oh my God, they have it. Okay, so this is a plugin, Icons for Design, that you can download and you can search icons. And I wasn't sure if they would have social media, but they do. So yay, I don't have to download something sketchy. And I'm just gonna select this and bring it in. Yay. And make that white. Cool. I had no idea. Okay, let's use just a simple F. Did you guys decide? I like the orange at the bottom. It kind of wraps up the whole page. I like the orange, or could you try purple? Yeah, I could try purple for sure. Let's do that. Oh yeah, so these are kind of randomly colored, right? Maybe that's why we're talking about purple. So let me grab this purple. I'll just take this footer and change it. Use the little eyedropper, grab purple. Ooh, that's fun too. This might just be white. What is your guys' vote? This I realize needs to be consistent. So actually we could also play around tomorrow with making these like green and different colors here that can make it more fun. Do you guys prefer purple or orange? And actually this is almost wrapping it up. So yeah, that's the final decision, and we'll fix and fiddle with the footer a little more tomorrow. And then tomorrow we're going to go into tablet size as well as mobile, and we're going to see how that goes responsive there. And I and I like how you guys are still back and forth, purple or orange. So thank you guys so much. We'll conversate on it more tomorrow, and wishing you guys a happy rest of your Monday. Bye.